What's going on, guys? Hope everything is going well for you today. Yeah, just wanted to start on the daily chart for Bitcoin here. All right, I'm gonna jump into it. Now, you know what? I should start with the TSI. So what I love about the current price action regarding Bitcoin is that the TSI is crossing the zero line right here, still going pretty strong. Not gonna lie, usually when it tries to cross these, see how like it kind of slopes into this like yellow and it kind of just like consolidates and continues on to the next. That hasn't necessarily happened yet, and historically that does occasionally happen when price crosses these zone areas. So that has yet to happen. I guess obviously you don't want to kind of assume the next move, but from my perspective, um, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at some point to see an eventual kind of curvature to the downsides ever so slightly to consolidate. But as long as this slow moving average remains blue, blue is bullish in this particular tool's case. Yeah, you can expect prices to the upside still. Going to the market cipher indicator here, um, yeah, it is not on the oversold mark. And what's even more interesting, frankly, as I've been kind of noticing more and more, is if you go to the Heikinashi, money flow is still pointing to the downside, but it's not even in the green yet, which is great, frankly. When it does turn green, it gets really thick and yeah, sloping. So when the money flow is green in this particular indicator, it's just easier for the bulls to push price to the upside. And at this time, it is an uphill battle, so to speak, given that the money flow is still negative, but it is sloping, I'm sorry, bowling. And you could argue, yes, sloping is a decent word to use to the upside as well. Um, yeah, higher lows here from tip to tip. You could do something like that to where it's creating that just momentum and it's heading closer to the zero line. So that's rather interesting. Yeah, sorry for all the lines, stuff like that. I've been doing some really intraday kind of analysis and stuff. So when I zoom out, it just looks really wonky. Okay, let me go to the MACD indicator. So, there was some form of consolidation for the past couple days, but now we're kind of curving upward. Now, the MACD, the green line right here, is still heading closer to the zero line. So, I've said this in the previous video, once that MACD gets closer to the zero line, volatility starts going insane. So price swings from the upside to the downside kind of get a little wacky until the MACD eventually consistently creates a higher low situation. And yeah, then it's just smooth sailing from that point. So this is it's yet to happen, but as you can see, momentum is did create that positive trajectory still. All right, so let me go to the TSI here. All right, so the TSI, it states as long as price is above 20.299, 20.299 thousand, yeah, you can expect higher prices. Now, it doesn't mean that you can see price, fall a couple percentages, but yeah, so far so good in terms of overall solidification of this uh, pump. Now, what's really interesting for me is this daily curvature right here. Um, this is really strong momentum. Now, there was a fake out last time. There was a hidden bearish divergence that ended up playing out like mega powerful. But at this time, it's super low key. I'm gonna circle these points so you can really kind of get a better picture of what I'm talking about here. But I like that at current at the current stance of this indicator, the previous high has been taking out, and this is actually making a newer high. It's ever so slight, um, but that's a good sign in regards to overall momentum, reversals long term. Right, let me see here. The RSI as well crossed the 50, definitively crossed the 50. This is a really strong indicator in regards to just overall trend, frankly. So like when there's a 50 cross up on the RSI, that's usually a very powerful sign. Now, as you can see, how it's a very staticky indicator, but once there is a pump, there is a consolidation, and there's usually a reversal to the downside, but it ultimately does create this like lower I'm sorry, higher low. So there is kind of this like parabola situation going on here that you want to pay attention to. So as long as this like parabola on the daily maintains its structure, price will be going to the upside. But now keep in mind, when the RSI does eventually kind of break out of that, that's a parabolic move to the downside. So it's smooth sailing for now, but yeah, I mean on a daily, losing that parabola would just be it would be a pretty quick move to the downside. But at this time, yeah, that you don't have to worry about that. Okay, now on the TMA on the daily, still showing that trajectory to the upside, which is great, and it's nowhere near the overbought zone, so that's pretty cool. Now, keep in mind that for the TMA, it doesn't go just straight to the top. Usually, it'll come back down, consolidate, make a let me zoom in here so you can see it better, a high or low situation. If it's able to create another one, which in my opinion it most likely will, not financial advice, it's just like a nice little ratcheting up to create a more solid foundation for the bulls to eventually push the price higher. Okay, so now let me go to the 4 hour just so I can show you guys what's brewing here and it'll make a little bit more sense. So I think yesterday I was kind of charting more so a couple of probabilities here. A couple of probabilities. Probability, the more macro probability is this ascending broadening ascending wedge here, which is constituted by let me put these as the yellow lines here. There. So this oh, excuse me, sorry about that. So this is what I'm keeping my eye on a macro perspective. So at this time, I'm focused more so on this rising um, rising wedge right here. Um, these are both of them are predominantly bearish structures. So as it stands, they usually move rather quickly to the upside, as you can see. So this thing could go all the way here, and it's kind of crazy because the apex point is kind of near the 26.25 resistance line, but also so how patterns usually happen or play out is usually there's a pattern breakout once the pattern has developed on average 70% of the way through. So if you actually measure that out, which you can do right here, 70% would be roughly around this particular zone. And it kind of aligns up with this 23.879 mark. So from my perspective, this is not financial advice. This is more so like how I'm really setting up this particular point. I'm going to be opening up a short if I see price break below this particular line right here. I want to see something like this where price comes back down here, comes back down, there, up, down, and then it'll break and preferably a confirmation bounce that yes, what it considered support is now resistance type of scenarios. Um, then I would open up a short, and I would really kind of look at um, this particular zone right here, this horizontal support line at 22.123. Or somewhere along this line here. There is confluence at 22.123 because this yellow line crosses there. So there is some kind of confluence and basically a place where multiple minds are kind of coming together in regards to different strategies of where support could end up. So yeah, keeping my eye on there. So yeah, the 4 hour has been an interesting development. It's rather intriguing, not gonna lie, because this ascending triangle here does officially break at 23.8. So if the bulls can actually break above that and actually have a pretty definitive break to the upside and then backtest the 23.879 mark as support, um, then yeah, I mean, oh man, because these pattern breakouts are pretty substantial. Now, to the upside and to the downside, maybe I don't think I've ever done a measured move, frankly. Here, let me, yeah, there you go. Then let me clone it. Boom. Okay. So let's say it does end up coming back to the downside, or like actually breaking the upside here. So the measured move targets would actually be around, if it breaks to the upside, we're looking at, 29.8K, roughly 30K. And here it's a little bit less definitive because it would probably be somewhere around here maybe. Yeah. So roughly speaking, probably around this zone between 16.3 and 15.6, that particular zone. Yeah, so that's how you measure pattern breakouts to help you get like a better projection of where price will eventually be. But now, going back away just from just line charting and all that kind of stuff, I'm actually going to check out my momentum indicators here. So this particular setup today, wow, okay. So we have a blue wave, a positive momentum wave. It is in the overbought territory because once the blue waves kind of tag the 60 mark on this particular indicator, that just means that like yeah, people are buying this asset at a premium. Um, so I'm kind of curious as to when this will eventually comes down because no matter what, these things do eventually come down, like it or not, but they do. So that's where my mind is going. But to be completely honest with you, the Heikinashi candles, which are also momentum candles here, a lot of people like to read the Japanese candles. I just switched from, Heikinashi Japanese, but the Japanese candles are actually um, are 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 older kind of forms of reading prices of assets. These are actually the quote unquote modern candles. Um, yeah, Japan. If you're interested, Japan actually has a history of creating all these like indicators, well, not indicators, but like these particular candles. And yeah, these are apparently just for a lot of traders and me included. It's like a built-in indicator, these Heikinashi candles, and they actually front run some of these indicators too. So anyway, I'm deviating, but going to the Japanese candle perspective, we do have a flat bottom on this bullish candle. Flat bottoms usually means strong momentum. So I, at this time, I'm not expecting a complete reversal or a dump, but keep in mind though that it is overextended, and the 9 EMA, which is the most tagged slower fast moving average. It's like a fast slow moving average or whatever. It usually gets tagged. It is currently at 22.48. So as you can see on these candles here, these wicks, the price does eventually come back to this particular line, which is the yellow line. So um, yeah, at some point I do expect price to come back to earth, if you will, at 22.5 or somewhere along the lines as the 9 EMA on the 4 hour develops. Um, Okay, I don't think I did the TSI. The TSI is actually getting really close to the overbought zone. This is where major reversals happen, or substantial, powerful moves to the downside happen. Uh, Now keep in mind, the slow moving average is still blue, but as you can see, the bears have successfully weakened the trajectory of of this particular wave, as you can see. So they're getting really comfortable pushing momentum the opposite direction, and we're kind of getting to a really important point where, yeah, you can actually see some reversals happen. Not there yet. It's barely in it, so this has to mature a little bit more in order to really see it. Honestly, not financial advice, but when the TSI crosses here like that, and a confirmed momentum shift, that's when I feel more comfortable opening up shorts. But as you can see, we're not there yet. But yeah, we're kind of getting close, in my opinion. Also, from a horizontal line standpoint, yeah, we are seeing it getting really close to some key inflection points. What else? Okay, yeah, let's go to the MACD here. Okay, MACD is kind of showing some choppiness, and it got a bounce off of here, creating a higher high in regards to the MACD. But as you can see, when I zoom out, this is kind of a zone where potential reversals can kind of happen. Yeah, it can extend farther along there, but yeah, it's kind of getting into this like overbought zone, so it's really, really risky, frankly, to open up fresh longs at this point, or even dollar cost average into the asset um, from a short-term perspective. Um, yeah, but still, like I said prior, we're nowhere near that cross, I'd say, just yet. Um, yeah, as long as price is above 22.924, we can see price continue to the upside. Now let me go to the MACD-X here. Yeah, so the MACD-X is still printing higher highs at this point. Yeah, there was a slight dump from the day before. It did catch this particular dump, but it wasn't the reversal. The 9 EMA did end up becoming a support line. Let me take off the Haikanashi so you can see that in real time. Yeah, as you can see when I zoom in here, the 9 EMA did end up holding support and ended up reversing altogether on that particular move. But yeah, as you can see, price is still pushing forward at this time. It's been really breaking through here. This is actually impressive. Now keep in mind, rising wedges are bearish, but there is a percentage where bulls can break rising wedges and reversals can happen. So yeah, so it's, even though these are predominantly quote unquote bearish leaning um, um, patterns, they can break bullish, which is exciting from a macro holder's perspective. Yeah, so on the 4 hour here on the RSI, uh, yeah, the RSI's been teasing into the bullish control zone. Um, Been kind of choppy as of late. I want to see how this develops. I It's not necessarily curved just yet, as you can see, like it's still kind of like consolidating with, but inside the bearish control zone. I'm kind of curious to see if it's actually able to maintain this move to the upside. And the slow moving average is pointing up, so the bias is bullish. So that's kind of interesting to see. My goodness, excuse me, sorry about that. Hold on. Woo! Oh my, sorry about that. I had to do that. Okay, I'm back. Um, all right. So the TMA is looking rather interesting. It is not in the overbought zone just yet, so that to me implies that there's still going to be some move to the upside. But I don't like longing near resistance. I just don't like it. Nope. Um, I would have to see some substantial moves to the upside and it flip from resistance to support to then actually initiate a long. It's just all my indicators are pointing to some form of upside, but at this time I can't really confidently say that it's a good idea to open up a fresh long. I know price is pumping right now, but like I said before, the exponential moving average is really all the way down there. It's from where it is now. It's a 3, almost a 4% move to the downside if it actually decides to come back down. So even if you were interested in opening up a long, it's just not ideal to do so at this time, in my opinion. Not just That's just my opinion at this time. Okay, so I'm gonna go zoom more into the 1 hour, and this is more so um, kind of oh, more so kind of a point of emphasis here uh, for intraday stuff. So going back to it, we did have a sell signal right here. So usually what happens within these sell signals, it's not immediate. Like we can still kind of get like a revenge pump from bulls, but ultimately this just is a confirmation, kind of to get the reversal started. It's kind of like the guy at the train station where it's like all aboard. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, just to let you know, kind of happened here uh, where yeah, you did initially get like a sell signal, but then it wasn't until the divergence happened where you saw the actual move to the downside. Um, Now, keep in mind that this line of support has been respected, so even if it does come down, you can expect some reaction here. But if it does end up breaking, yeah, it's just to keep in mind, like, oh, okay, maybe that would definitely insinuate a larger move to the downside, and you'd really have to realistically see this yellow line right here as more so support. Now, there is a 100 EMA. This blue line right here, this 100 EMA potentially has the opportunity to act as support. But yeah, it has been tested multiple times already at this time. So yeah, the more times you test something, usually the weaker it gets. But we'll definitely see. But as it stands, the bulls are definitely in favor. My support and resistance indicator has actually triggered and is sustaining resistance at 23.448. So that's kind of an issue for the bulls at this time. And also the parabolic SAR has flipped from bullish to bearish. So as long as price can't pass 23.7 roughly, you can expect momentum to come to the downside. Alrighty, TSI is in this zone. It is like in the sell zone, not gonna lie. Um, but as you can see when I zoom in, it went from like caution signs, yellow, to gray, which means that okay, it's just not yet. Just like how the 4 hour is, once I see this particular line right here, then I feel more comfortable in selling or in shorting, all that kind of stuff. Um, the same thing with the bullish crosses here, but this is already mature. It's not a good idea to open up something fresh at this time. It's more so like a wait and see kind of a point of view. All right, so let me go here to the MACD. So the MACD is kind of printing new momentum, gaining to the downside. Momentum's waning and now curving. The MACD is yet to cross. And keep in mind, this is the lagging indicator. So yeah, like, but from a macro slow moving perspective, yes, momentum is confirming to the downside at this time. But now, will it print a higher low or a lower high? That's to be determined here. So there is this kind of like sloping support. If you see a candle print below this line, then yeah, you can expect a pretty substantial move to the downside. Substantial would be, 5%, 6% type of stuff, maybe even more, who knows. But yeah, I'd say in those rough ranges from a conservative standpoint. Yeah, still, this is good to see if you're a bull. Like this is bullish control zone stuff, but keep in mind we have been in a bear market for some time, so usually those things this RSI momentum doesn't really last long within this area, but same thing with the TSI. I want to see a cross down where the slow moving average becomes the top side line as opposed to the fast moving green line. Yeah, so at this time, the fast moving average has technically bounced from the slow moving average and is still continuing to the upside. So there's that. Also on the MACDX, there's no sell signal nor divergence of any kind yet. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily see a complete dump at this time, but it is a mature um, pump as it stands. Mm, okay. Yeah, pretty much it. Now, from a macro perspective, I do see, even if the rising wedge does break to the downside, I would have to see this line right here truly just get wrecked in order to really be like worried of something like that. You know what I mean? Because if this, because these ascending wedges are bearish by nature, but keep in mind they do break to the upside as well. There's a percentage point where I believe they have a 68% probability of breaking to the downside, but you know that's enough room for some bulls to kind of happen, you know, make a move happen in regards to an anomaly. um, and I mean, price has been in the trenches for 3 months now. I wouldn't be surprised to see something finally break to the upside. Now, it doesn't mean a complete reversal is in play. I said this in the last video, where realistically price could pump like 30% up all the way to like, you know, the 28K, 30K mark and still print a lower high on a macro perspective. We're talking, you know, we're talking on a daily chart, you know what I mean? Perspective. I clicked the 12-hour, but yeah, like, I mean, we'd have to, you know, print above 33K to break that momentum to the downside. So, you know, price could pump all the way up to 30K, print a lower high, and then kind of visit lower. And I do ultimately think we are going to have one more leg down before the ultimate reversal begins. But you know, it's just been ridiculous in regards to uh, this price action. I mean, like, so much value was lost. I mean, I can't believe it. I never thought I'd see an $800, or I'm sorry, a $900 Ethereum in my life. But yeah, it happened, and I think we're even going to go lower um, from that. But ultimately, you know, the market will recover nonetheless. This is one of the fastest growing um, sectors in the world. It's getting mass adoption every day. New wallets are opening up. You know, the ETH merge has been confirmed for September, which is huge. It's an upgrade on the Ethereum mainnet. The main reason why Ethereum isn't so massively adopted is due to its just high gas fees and its just inability to scale and meet the demands of its current user base. So that's one of the main reasons. But that is an opportunity for all these different layer ones. You know, you have your Phantoms, you have your Elrons, you have Avalanche, Solana, and they're all building. Like they're all not only are they building, but they are gaining funding. They are getting seed round money funding. Okay, um, so this market's still super young. It's super early still. I'm keeping my eye on Bitcoin because it's the head of the snake. Wherever Bitcoin goes, the alts follow, and even greater to a degree. Now, when we get more to the DeFi season, actually Ethereum does lead. Um, but ultimately, at the end of the day, where Bitcoin points, everything else follows. So that's why I mostly just follow the chart of Bitcoin. But I mean, I'm completely cool with doing other charts at some point in time. But yeah, that is just my thoughts on that. So far, bullish engulfing candle on the daily, and another one actually here. But yeah, as long as price sustains the base of this bullish engulfing candle at 22.4, it's still pointing to the upside in my opinion. All right, that's pretty much it. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. Yeah, if you have any questions or comments, just yeah, just let me know in the little comment section below. Also, if you haven't liked already, please like the channel, and yeah, if you think it's informative, please share with your friends. Um, yeah, and feel free to reach out in regards to any questions, or if you want me to do any stocks, or if you want me to do any like other cryptos or anything in regards to technical analysis. Happy to do so. Just let me know. Alrighty, well, I'm gonna let you guys go. I appreciate it once again. Have a good rest of the day. Take care. Bye.